There's a conversation you've been avoiding, maybe for weeks, for months, even a few years. And every single day that you don't have it, it costs you energy, bandwidth, and the quiet unease of something unresolved sitting at the edge of your awareness. Let's deal with it today. Hi, my name is Zet. I'm a personal transformation and mindset coach. So, conflict avoidance is one of the most widespread patterns I encounter in coaching. It's almost never about cowardice. It's about a very irrational fear of an outcome that, on examination, is almost never as bad as the avoidance itself. Let me show you what I mean. When you avoid a necessary conversation, you don't eliminate the problem, you relocate it. It moves from the relationship, where it could potentially be resolved, into your internal world, where it festers, where it grows and colors everything around it. The unresolved conversation with your manager becomes a reason to quietly disengage from your work. The avoided conversation with your partner becomes a distance that grows slowly, then suddenly everything ends. That conversation with yourself that you've been putting off, the one about whether you are actually on the right path, becomes a source of chronic low-grade dissatisfaction that you can never quite locate. Avoidance isn't neutral. Every avoided conversation has carrying costs. The mental bandwidth spent thinking about what you should have said, the energy spent managing your behavior around the personal situation that you are avoiding, the resentment that builds when a situation does not improve because you haven't addressed it, the self-respect that erodes every time you choose silence over honesty. We avoid difficult conversations for deeply understandable reasons. Let me name the most common ones. Fear of the other person's reaction. We anticipate anger, hurt, defensiveness, or even rejection, and we'd rather carry the discomfort ourselves than risk provoking that response in someone else. Fear of damaging the relationship. We tell ourselves that the relationship is better with this thing unspoken than with a conversation had. But this is almost never true. Relationships corrode under the weight of things not said far more reliably than they break under the impact of honest conversations. Uncertainty about our own position. Sometimes we avoid the conversation because we are not entirely clear on what we actually want to think. So we defer, hoping clarity will come, but it rarely does without the conversation. Fear of being seen as difficult, demanding, or even unkind, particularly for people who have been socialized to prioritize other people's comfort. The idea of saying something that might cause discomfort feels like a character violation rather than an act of honesty. Here is the framework I teach for having difficult conversation. Step 1. Get clear on your intentions. Before you have the conversation, ask, what outcome am I hoping for? Not, what do I want to feel? Not, what do I want to say? But, what do I genuinely hope this conversation produces? Clarity of intentions keep you anchored when the conversation gets emotionally charged. Step 2. Choose the time and place deliberately. Hard conversations had in the wrong context almost always go worse. Not in the car, not at the end of a long day, not via text. If possible, do it face to face when both people have had time and relative emotional bandwidth. Set up the conversation intentionally. Say, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. Is now a good time, or can we find a better moment? Step 3. Starting with your experience, not their behavior. Say, when X happened, I felt Y. It lands differently from when you say, you did X and it was wrong. The first is your truth and the second is a verdict. People can dispute a verdict. They cannot dispute your experience. Starting with your experience keeps the conversation from becoming defensive immediately. Step 4. Ask more than you tell. The most important thing in a difficult conversation is often what you don't yet know about the person's experience. Ask genuine questions. What were you thinking when that happened? What's been going on for you? What do you need from this situation? You are not interrogating, you are trying to actually understand. Most conflicts look very different once both people are genuinely understood. Step 5. Focus on what you want going forward, not what went wrong in the past. History is useful for context, but not for resolution. At some point in the conversation, move towards saying, what I'd like going forward is ... and invite them to share what they need going forward too. This shifts the conversation from retrospective blame to prospective design. I want to end on the most avoided conversation of all, the one with yourself. Are you on the right path? Is this what you actually want? Are you living in alignment with your values? Or are you managing the distances between who you are and who you are pretending to be? That conversation is the one most people never have because it's the most consequential and therefore the most frightening. But if you are watching this channel, some part of you is already having it. Keep going. The discomfort of that conversation is infinitely smaller than the cost of never having it. In my next video, I'm covering something that underpins everything we've talked about over the past 7 weeks, and that is how to design your life intentionally, rather than living it by default. And if you want support in having the most important conversation, the one about what you actually want and what's getting in the way, my free breakthrough session is designed for exactly that. The link is in the description. If this resonates, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Avoidance is a no. That way you and I can hold each other accountable for making this our best and most successful year yet.